listeners is what made you guys start goSTOPS? And at what point were you convinced that this is what you would love to chase? And at what point has goSTOPS, now that you're in 30 properties or more, right? Now it's beyond Pankaj and Pallavi to the outside world, to the customers who keep coming back. They probably, some of them don't even know, apart from the early customers who probably knew you. So at what point has goSTOPS, have you believed that it's grown beyond just Pankaj and Pallavi?
Great question, but I think from day one, goSTOPS was much more than Pankaj. Because we were very old when we started a youth hostel. We were definitely not youth. So we were not building this for ourselves. But we were building it for the Pankaj and Pallavi who were young at a point in time, who didn't have access to youth hostels. Youth hostels are essentially social places to stay. And that is why I thought that we need to build this. From day one, I wanted to be behind the scenes because I think the team that we had and the guests themselves were quite capable of interacting with each other and creating the right moments while they're staying with us. I think we started out with foreign backpackers because foreign backpackers were aware of the concept of youth hostels and staying together as a community. And that was the low-hanging fruit while we were building all of this to be introduced to the Indian audience. And when the Indian audience started visiting the hostels, not just us, the other hostel players in the category as well, which is Hostel and Hostler, Indians fell in love with it. Because obviously everybody wants social connections. Did we have an idea that the community needs to be curated through community managers? No. We felt that the young people who are staying with us are superstars in their own right. And given the right infra, they can interact with each other. So most of our spaces would have games and things like that so that people could just come together and there were social spaces. So even here, if you want to watch something, it's most likely that you have to interact with somebody else to decide on what should be played, right? So you'll make friends, you'll have a conversation in the dorm. And when we realized that Indians are really liking it, that's when we knew that goSTOPS is here to stay. So initially we started on the hippie trail, which is the foreign backpacker trail. It's traditionally called the hippie trail. So they will typically go to select 10 locations across the country or 20 locations across the country, but that's not true about the domestic traveler. They will go everywhere. So, and then we went beyond the hippie trail, open places like Mussoorie, Nainital, Ooty, where you will typically not get foreign backpackers because that's the place where Indian young people are going. And yeah, it's been good.
What is one thing that you think has helped you bring back customers or on the retention side? What is excited or what do people connect the most with?
I think the freedom to do what they want to do, to use the space as they feel they should be using it, not having restrictions. I think essentially the freedom to choose is very important. I'll give you a small example. We make a lot of money from our food. I can today say I'm going to limit Swiggy and Zomato and I'll make more money from my food. But that's not something that young people like. Young people like the ability to choose. And young people make that choice everywhere. So if it's about this common area, if I close it in the middle of the night, that's not how young people live. Young people are nocturnal animals. So we need to keep this open. So I think choice and a non-judgmental, inclusive environment where they sort of make the rules is what I think gets them back.
Thank you so much for hosting us today.
Our pleasure.
I think more communities need to have like offline space. I think Gautam and me have spoken. I think that's one limiting factor. So kudos to you all for starting this. Since we're sharing tactical stuff, if you'd be open to it, how does the math behind an offline space look like? How many years back did you start? If you have anything that you can share, of course, whatever you're comfortable with.
I can share everything. It's not.
Mostly because I think many of us have digital communities.
Yeah.
We collaborate with a lot of them. But always the idea for anyone building a community, like there's nothing that replaces your, like whatever you can share, would love to learn from your journey.
So I think the maths is fairly straightforward for us. We take up a hotel which would typically be an Oyo Tribo Fab, which is the budget category, the legit budget category. You'll typically sell that room for anywhere around 1,500 to 1,700 rupees a night, and in some cases the golden number of 999, which was popularized by all these three players. We take those rooms and we put bunk beds in those spaces. right? So instead of selling it at 999, we're able to sell one bed for 500 or 600 rupees and utilize the space vertically. So suddenly that space now yields anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 rupees a night for us, right? And that is not a letdown for the consumer that we are after. It's actually a plus because they find the experience of sharing a dorm with somebody else an opportunity to make new friends. So it's not a compromise. It's not like they're letting go of their private space just to get a cheap bed. It's about choosing that hostel to make new friends. And then to compensate for that, you have to have very good common areas because ultimately you're in the dorm to sleep or to just chit chat with your dorm mates. But there's this whole hostel around you, which is almost like alive through the night as well. People are working at odd hours, waking up, doing their stuff. So the common area becomes extremely critical. So we will take a space which has the right amount of common space associated with the hostel. So that space gets funded automatically from the beds itself because I've already made that 999 5,000. So that's the economics. And we've not even gotten around to monetizing the common spaces because we still believe that the common space, for most part, in the evening belongs to our guests. But yes, we're still to figure this out.
How many properties do you all have now, say in India?
35 properties. And very soon we'll be at 42 by March.
That's all. How long has it been so far?
12 years.
Are you only
Pan India. We are there from Jammu Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Varanasi.
Varanasi.
Yeah.
That was the first problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the quintessential Indian experience that not yet. We are in Alleppey and Kochi.
You know, the best part is everyone's asking from where they come from.
Yeah.
The good pattern we're trying to see, do we have one near our house?
Yes, yes.
How about Northeast?
Not yet.
is it like do you own all the properties yourself?
No, we lease them.
No, I mean, is it like
No, we operate.
you operate?
Yeah, it's completely company operated.
I have a question.
Please.
So you mentioned that you are not a young hostel, and nowadays the young generation need a lot of privacy. And when there is a generation gap, you have to pick the colors and room and facility, privacy, everything has to be combined, right? So how do you identify your product market, GTM mostly, when compared to Zoho and others are there?
She's like, how did you hit TMF?
Right. I think it was a bit of a trial and error. And even before we raised our first round of funding, we had already spent 6 years building this product. So we had a lot of scope to do stuff that we can learn from, remove, add. So when we started out, because we were catering to the foreign backpacker, it was completely designed according to European hostels. So there were no cafes. We had a self-serve kitchen. So we will have tea, coffee, sugar, masalas, oil kept there, and everybody would cook for themselves and clean up after them. We would give sheets in their hands. We would not help with luggage. These were typically people who would be in India for anywhere between 1 month to 6 months, and they would sort of go to every location that we were at. It was a very different kind of a scenario. We realized that we wanted to cater to Indians. We knew it from the very first day, and we knew Indians don't like to cook when you're there on the road. So we changed the self-serve kitchens to cafes where people can order food 24/7. So our cafe is 24/7 because our consumer is a 24/7 creature. We started doing housekeeping, which we weren't doing earlier. When we went beyond 6 hostels, we started designing the interiors in terms of it should look similar. And we built our team very, very slowly. So when the interior design team came up, which was I think around 2019, 2020, is when we started designing our interior playbook. And thankfully, those were young people designing it. So they knew what colors to choose and what language to use and what to put in the interiors.
Which was your best trial that gives you the unexpected?
I think the first, Varanasi, gave us all the confidence we needed. We were just lucky. We hit a jackpot. So yeah.
Typically, like this type of businesses because of employee retention. So, what is your
I think initially when you're small, you can choose the team and pick everybody, and that basically defines the culture in the beginning. And you've got the initial people right, it becomes easier to sort of spread that culture as the organization grows. But it also happens, and it happened with us also, that as the organization grew, I think the distance between the founder and the team increases. So the founder has to make a very, very decided effort to keep talking to the team and to sort of make sure that the team recognizes or understands what we are trying to build, because then it will reflect in their everyday behavior. I'm not saying we've done it 100% right, but that's what we need to do. I think that's what everybody needs to do. Keep revisiting, keep talking to your team. I think more than anything else, the founder just needs to keep talking.
What are the 5 things that you think is common across all your sectors? One could be
Real estate to real estate.
other than that, like culture.
By the way, that's
Yeah.
Ravi, co-founder of Beehive.
Hi.
So I get to the point.
What's the weirdest thing?
I think the common area, especially because we were very sure that we wanted to give the freedom to enjoy the space to the consumer. So everything in the common area should be accessible, is what we felt. That if there's a pool table or a TT table or foosball table, it's just there. Like if there are games, they're just there. There should be charging points. People should be able to access everything on their own. They should be able to switch it off, switch it on. So the ergonomics became extremely important to foster community. Simple things like a long table instead of many small tables, so that people interact with each other instead of us facilitating it. So that's something that is common in most of our places. 24/7 cafe, for example, is common. I'm talking about features more than culture right now. The way we sort of have our rules and SOPs, and that can be built through the app that we have. So we have a goSTOPS app which the consumer uses, and to mirror it, there is a goCrew app. So the crew can see, which is the team can see what the consumer is ordering, when have they ordered it, if there's a query which is raised, how can that be resolved. So all of that is like the consumer is being mirrored by what the team is also seeing in terms of live requests and things like that. So that's something that sort of makes it easier to implement the SOPs that we have.
If you had to start goSTOPS all over today, what would you do different, especially your first 3 to 5 years compared to what you did in the 2013 2018 era? Your first 3 to 5 years, which is the most critical, what would 1 or 2 things be different that you do?
You mean start now when the market is already mature?
If
If we were to again start in 2014 when hostels in India did not exist.
So let's assume you're starting today. What would 1 or 2 things be different that you do today compared to what it was? Of course, I think you made a very good point where acceptance to the category is far more higher now than what it was in 2014. But let's assume you're starting in this space. What would be something that's different that you would do now than what you did?
Maybe spend more on marketing.
Nothing actually.
So there's someone who's starting a similar thing today. What would your advice?
Pankaj will be ensure you find the right co-founder.
I think that's number 1 actually. Yeah, but besides that, I think in the initial period you have to go slow. You have to find answers to all of the questions, and which is why don't raise money. I think that is one advice. Please stay bootstrapped, find all your answers, know that the model is working, and then go and scale. So yeah, I wouldn't do anything differently. Even today, I think if I had to come up with any new concept, I would slowly try it, not lose my night's sleep, see how the customer is interacting with the product, tweak it till it gives me satisfaction. I feel, oh, this is great. Only and the model shows that it's making money. Only then I'll be comfortable to scale it. So yeah, so I wouldn't do anything.
Gautam's smiling where he's come here with his Bloom checkbook.
Only when it started making money.
Yeah.
This is my
Point.
Group will love it because they will do the 1 million now, right?
By the way, goSTOPS is a good company.
Oh, right.
Super. Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you.
Pallavi. Thanks.